the dust settles and get to sit in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and think about like, wow, I just pitched at Camden Yards in a big league game against a really good Baltimore Orioles team, and I feel like I did my job that night. I did well, and gave them the confidence to call me back up later that year, and just taking that confidence, and even after getting options going back to AAA, like taking that confidence from like, hey, I got these guys out in the big leagues, I should be able to get these guys out in AAA, and I feel like that helped me a lot.
All right, guys, welcome back into another episode of To the Show We Go Baseball Podcast. Today's episode, we got another repeat customer. We're dipping back into the Red Sox here. And it's something I couldn't say last offseason when we had this man on. We have Boston Red Sox pitcher Chase Shugart. And if you don't know Chase by now, he obviously made his MLB debut this year. He spent some time in Worcester as well, and obviously spent some time in Boston. So we'll get into some of the baseball things here. But Chase, I kind of like starting these off just on a lighter note and kind of just seeing what you've been doing this off season. Like, what have you been up to? You just had a pretty big life event go on just this past week. So congratulations on that, by the way. But how has the off season been?
It's been good. Definitely been busy. A lot of my friends are getting married, and the off season for baseball players is wedding season. So traveling, seeing these guys get married, and doing that, golfing, hunting, working out, doing what I need to do to be prepared next year.
Yeah, I saw you were just at Brandon Walter's wedding, which was pretty cool, and obviously coming up in the Red Sox system together. And you talk about all your friends having weddings in the off season. Looks like you might be planning one for next off season potentially. So congrats in advance on that. But
thank you.
I do want to dive into some of the boring baseball stuff before I talk about some of the cooler off the field things, just to kind of get to know you a bit more. But obviously 2024, man, this is the year of Shug. I'm going to go out and say that because you made your MLB debut. You got engaged. So if you could just give me a couple takeaways that you had from this year, I'll go on the field first, and just your time in Worcester and getting to the bigs. What are a couple things that kind of stick out to you that you enjoyed this year?
Just really having fun playing the game of baseball again. 23 was a grind. You know better than anybody. You were there. You were around. Had some really highs and some really lows, and this year was all about just balancing those out, while also having fun playing baseball. It's a kid's game at the end of the day, and taking that mindset into the last year of my contract. I would have been a free agent, not getting selected to the 40-man during the season. So, just taking it in is like, go be you. It's your last year. Give it everything to the game, and it'll get back to you, and that's what happened.
Yeah, I talked to you obviously a bit throughout the year, and I know you did your fair share of interviews with me and other people, obviously, and especially once you got up to Boston. But for those that aren't, fully aware of the background and, just how far you did come, like you said, it's like 2023, you faced some adversity and you ended up overcoming it, obviously, when 2024 hit. So what was it like just finally getting the call? And obviously, like, I know what you were doing. I think you guys were on a bus or something. I forgot what it was. You can say it again if you want, but what did that mean to you and your family, just knowing that it's like all that hard work is, not the job's not done, but it's, I'm getting to where I want to be.
Yeah. We were on a bus back from Syracuse. We knew a move was probably going to be made with Paxton going down that day, scary injury, and then seeing that the bullpen had to cover the rest of the game. You knew there was a move coming. Who was going to be? I'm obviously selfishly in the back wanting it to be me, and Trace came over the intercom and gave a speech, and then he said, "Shug, you're going to the big leagues," and I just instantly started crying. Called my grandparents, shared that moment with them, and the feeling of like, okay, like I'm a big leaguer. This is what you worked for. This is what you were daydreaming about in the backyard at 7 years old. Like I still get choked up about it because I don't really know how to explain it because it was a feeling I've really never felt. I felt accomplished, but at the same time, you said like the job's not done. But knowing that the organization, kept the faith in me after a bad year, and then doing what I did in 24 and going forward with like just being a big leaguer, it was a really satisfying feeling, and knowing that the sacrifices that were made to get to that point were well worth it.
What was it like getting into those first couple games? You appeared in 6 games for the Red Sox at the major league level this year, and was it everything you thought of?
I really couldn't. The first my debut, I really couldn't tell you. I just blacked out. Like it was, you know, had 3 days of build up. I didn't get in the game, and then we get to Baltimore, and it was kind of like a hey, get ready quick type of thing. So I really had no time to think about it, think about the moment, or really anything like that. It was just all right. Trust your stuff. Go attack the zone. Be who you are. You wouldn't be here if they didn't think you deserved it or they didn't think you were good enough. So the dust settles, and you get to sit in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and think about like, wow, I just pitched at Camden Yards in a big league game against a really good Baltimore Orioles team, and I feel like I did my job that night. I did well, and gave them the confidence to call me back up later that year, and just taking that confidence, and even after getting an option going back to AAA, like taking that confidence from like, hey, I got these guys out in the big leagues, I should be able to get these guys out in AAA. And I feel like that helped me a lot. And then also working with Dan and June, like those are two baseball minds, and it's like, hey, you got really good stuff. Like we're just gonna fine tune it here, fine tune it there, probably throw this pitch in this situation. Just looking at the numbers and analytics of it, but not getting too caught up in it, and just having that bulldog mentality out on the mound.
Yeah, I had Chad Tracy on the show a couple weeks ago, and something that kind of stuck out to me is, he was showing quite a bit of love for his staff this year, and obviously he had some new guys on his staff with Noah Junis and with Dan being there, and he also showed some love to Clarkey and some of
Mm-hmm.
the other guys on the staff as well. But for Dan and Noah, for being two guys that you got to work with this year to start out the year, and with Noah being brand new to the organization. And then Dan, I think, wasn't brand new, but he was new to Worcester. What was it like having them at the beginning of the year and start working with them? And I guess how big of a help were they for you this year to getting to the majors?
I feel like just like the whole pitching concept changed with like the new coordinators that we brought in, and then having fresh faces as, like with Dan and June in the AAA at the AAA affiliate really brought like just a different environment. I would say like a different learning environment would be the best way to describe it, because some of the things they were talking about, I'm like, like I don't know. And then some of the things they were talking about, I was like, okay, I really agree with that. So it's more so like me being who I am, like I'm gonna voice my opinion, whether it's the right one or not. Like so, like there was a lot of conversations between us three with Dan and June, like throughout the whole year, and like I think having the guys, those guys there, being able to bounce those conversations off without like getting our tempers rising, and like having they're like, okay, well, I didn't see it as that, but like it just proven to do this, and it's a lot of just give and take, I would say. They let me be me, and they also was like, hey, this could help. Try this, and if it did, I would stick with it. If it didn't, it's all about being open minded, really, with those guys, and having that learning environment increase throughout the year, and like the new guys coming in, seeing what they're doing, and just they want you to be the best version of yourself, and once you realize that, they're going to do everything they can to help you be that.
So you appeared in 6 games in the majors, like I preluded to earlier, and past the debut. I know you said you kind of you maybe blacked out a little bit, and it was
Yeah.
just a lot. But once, let's say, like the third or fourth or fifth appearance you had, um, when you got to kind of like settle in a little bit, maybe, and just be like, okay, I've done this before, or like I've been on a major league mound before. What kind of things did you learn about yourself pitching in the majors against major league talent, just living the major league lifestyle?
I was having this conversation with one of my buddies the other day. It's
There we go.
like I don't want to say by no means being in the major leagues is it easy. It's not easy to stick. It's not easy to play up there consistently. Like it's not an easy game. It's a game of failure. But like as my mentality for me, it was like okay, like it's easier than I thought it was. And I don't say that as like this is an easy game by no means. Like the competition up there is really hard, but like it's like okay, like I belong here. I belong right alongside these guys, getting these guys out. I'm working I'm minimizing damage. I'm making pitches when I should be making pitches. It doesn't change the game. Like everybody thinks AAA is a big jump to the major leagues, in which it is, but those mistakes get hit in the big leagues versus like you get away with some in AAA. So it was, it's a weird conversation to have because like don't want it to be like, oh, the big leagues is so easy. No, it's
Yeah, yeah.
not. But like it felt like I belonged. You know what I mean? Like in all the hard work and everything that I did. Like it's like, hey, you have big league stuff. Execute your big league stuff. You're able to get these big league guys out. And then once that set in, is more like, okay, like just be who I am. It goes back to the conversations we were having. Like, hey, you're this guy. This might help. This might not. And it help goes back to Dan and June. Those guys just paving the way to help me even get to the big leagues.
Yeah, and at the end of the day too, you look the part too. It's like, and I know any casual fan, and obviously, Boston's a tougher place to play, but from what I saw and what I've seen on social media and things about you, it's been, this guy can stay. And I'm also going to say that about another one of your guys. One of my favorite friendship duos in the system is you and a guy named Nick Sogard. Nick Sogard also got to make his MLB debut this year, and I actually had Mr. Sogard on the show a couple weeks back, and he I guess gave me a very good answer in regards to how much it meant for him to have you up there with him this year in a talk that you guys had maybe a couple years ago when you guys first became roommates of like, who would have thought, you two would both be up in the majors at the same time. And, he also mentioned having David Hamilton up there was so special for him as well. So what was that like for you having, Nick Sogard and Hamilton up there and obviously I know you're close with Cutter Crawford as well, but just having like that support group once you got up there and being like, okay, these are my guys and it's kind of cool to do it with them.
Yeah, it was funny. I walked in the first day, and Cutter's like, "It's about damn time, dude. I've been waiting X amount of years." And Sogard is sitting there smiling ear to ear, comes and gives me a hug, and then I don't think I told David. I wanted to see David's face when he saw me in the locker room, and he's like, "What, Shug? What are you doing?" So it was a good moment between us, and having those guys there, and like having D Ham and Sogard. Those are two guys that play the game the right way. They hustle 120% of like they give everything they've got each play, and that's something you want behind you as a pitcher. Like you want guys that are going to go all out, and like just having those two guys on the field makes any defense better, in my opinion. And then having a guy like Cutter in my corner who been there, done that, had a really good year, and he's like, dude, just goes back to being yourself. Like just be you. You wouldn't be here if they didn't think you deserved it, if you didn't think you were good enough, just be you and let the rest take care of itself. So, like it was a good feeling. It was a crazy couple days, just being in a big league clubhouse with those guys, and then it was a really good feeling.
I got a couple more baseball ones before I actually I'm gonna say this now, but I have some questions of things that I don't know about you and I can't find them online, so I'm gonna just give you a heads up on that.
Okay.
But I want to ask about Fenway Park. Obviously, it's the oldest stadium in the league, and it's one of those places that it's got so much history in it, and it's the story speaks for itself. I guess being there, but what were your initial thoughts playing at Fenway Park?
I mean, there's really no words to it. It's breathtaking. It's Fenway Park. The old greats played there. Mickey Mantle played there. Babe Ruth played there. Like Babe Ruth towed that mound. Like, and I got sent up to throw a bullpen at Fenway in 2019 when I was in Low A Greenville, and I threw a bullpen on the game mound in 2019 because of we didn't have all the cameras at any affiliate yet, so they would fly guys out to get the numbers on everybody. And you're in the hotel the night before, you're like, wow, I'm going to Fenway. I think you're throwing in the bullpen. No, you're on the game mound. Everything's on top of you. It gets so loud. Sweet Caroline in the eighth inning, like it's everything it's made up to be, if not more.
And I always remember this quote from Joe Jakes when he went up and made his debut in 2023. And he always, it stuck out to me because, obviously being a reliever, he's warming up in the bullpen. And he always told me, he's like, dude, it feels like the fans are like right on top of you. It feels like they're about to reach over and touch you when you're warming up. What is that true? Do you think that's like playing at Fenway compared to other places you played, obviously in Camden and a few other spots, but like, is that like a big difference you feel at Fenway?
Yeah, the Detroit, Toronto, Camden, like the places I did play, City Field, like it's pretty secluded. Like the bull, I would say it's not secluded. There's fans, but it's different at Fenway because like you have our bullpen bench right here, and then you have a roof, but above that roof, about a foot behind you, is somebody's feet. Like I mean, can't see them, but like they're sitting right behind you, and then you start warming up. You could reach over, dap the guy up, and say, "Hey, I'm going in the game." Like it feels like they're sitting on the bench with us.
Okay. Yeah, I always remember Joe saying it. He's like, man, it felt like some guy was about to tap me on my shoulder while I was warming up there or sitting in the bullpen or whatever. I just had to ask. All right, so my last baseball question before we shoot to some off the field stuff, but now that you're a 40-man roster guy and you've made your debut and you're officially a big leaguer, what kind of things does the Red Sox tell you that you need to work on, or like did that change a lot from last offseason to this offseason? Like I guess it's like a two-parter. Like how much did that change, and then like what kind of things are they telling you you still need to work on?
I wouldn't say it changed because like even in AAA in 23 at the end of the season, we had our meetings and they're like, you got the sweeper. You really need to tune that in. Going into 24, yeah, the splitter, you need to do this with the splitter. And now that, I mean, it's the same conversations. It's all about being able to take the tools that you do have and make them better. And, if we can tweak some minor adjustments, like I wouldn't even say delivery. It's just like being more athletic to where you can throw harder, you're more comfortable and things like that. But like my off-season goals is being able to throw my cutter up in the zone to lefties, and change up, really just dial in the change up because it's a good pitch when it's right, but it's a bad pitch whenever it's really bad when it's bad. Like so, being able to have those weapons and really just make everything one big weapon. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I can throw the sweeper in this count. I can throw the change up in this count. Here's a two seam. Here's a cutter. Like it's really just being able to make all your pitches and try to make each pitch your best pitch is the way I took it in the conversations that we had.
Okay. Yeah. I was always curious. Like, obviously, you're in a much different spot. You're a 40-man guy compared to last offseason. So, was always curious if that would change a lot. But all right, I'm heading to a different segment here. This is life before the pros. These are some things that I don't even know about you, and I've spent some time around you the last couple of years, and I never got around to asking any of this stuff. But I am actually curious about it. So, it's no secret you grew up in Texas. Feel like you wear it on your sleeve. You're a big Texas guy, which I respect the absolute hell out of. But before I get into playing baseball down in Texas, who got you into baseball?
I would say it's my uncle. He played at a junior college out after high school, but he was always my coach from when I was 4 years old till I would say 15 when I started playing travel ball for this bigger organization they had in this area. But I would say it was my uncle and then my grandparents as well. My grandpa was pretty athletic back in his day, so really just the combination of those two or those three really get me into the game. I mean, I played football too, so it was really just like, hey, here's a ball. I want to play this. Like just wanted to be outside playing something.
I just I had to peek real quick. You mentioned football. I know a lot of guys were two sport athletes or three sport athletes in
Mm.
school, but being a guy, it says on don't quote me on this one, but on Baseball Reference you're listed at 5'10", 200. What position were you playing in football?
Quarterback and free safety, and I was
Okay.
about 175 pounds soaking wet.
Do
So
you
it,
do you miss
you
it
can
at
imagine
all?
for me.
Okay. Do you miss it at all? How much do you miss football?
I didn't really miss it until I got my jersey retired at senior night of our hometown football game where I went to high school, and I like seeing the guys come into the tunnel and then run out of the tunnel. I was like, man, I felt that. Like I know how they're feeling. They're way better than we were back then too. So I was like, damn, I really want to play on this team right now. But just strapping it up with guys you played your whole life with. That's really what I miss the most is the friendships I made my childhood to high school, playing baseball and football in high school, like with the guys you grow up with. Like you don't get that back. Like yeah, you can go on and play professional baseball. You can get traded. You're going to be in a clubhouse. You don't know anybody. So like it's not the same camaraderie, but it it's different, especially
Yeah,
technical football.
that's what I was going to ask, and it kind of leads me into the next question here. And it's again no secret, Texas is probably the place to be for football and also baseball.
Yeah.
There's so many guys around the league that either played in Texas, played college in Texas. I just feel like Texas is probably, I'm not going to say the most popular state among the players, but it's definitely up there. It's up there with the Californias, the Floridas, the Georgias, whatever it is. So you playing where you out in Bridge City, Texas.
Yep.
What was your competition like for in high school? Like, were you playing against other guys that ended up making it to the pros? Like, what was that like, I guess, to prep you for University of Texas?
So there was a team in our district, West Orange Start, in football. They were back-to-back state championships, and in baseball, our senior year, they went to the state championship, I believe, or they lost the semifinals, but they were in the state tournament. Uh, they had these two twin brothers, Aiden and uh, Grant Anderson. Grant made his debut in 23, got a World Series ring with the Rangers. Aiden is in AAA. It's crazy because they're twins. They look exactly the same. And Aiden, I believe he was drafted by the Phillies. I could be wrong, but he was with another organization, and then now he's in AAA with the Rangers. So they're on the same team. And then also on that team, they have Jack Dallas, who is 2 years younger than us. He's in the Phillies organization, and his Jack's brother is a year younger than him. He's Chad Dallas. He pitched for Buffalo this year. He was in AAA with Toronto this year. Ended up getting Tommy John. So that was one team. And you go down the road, we got. There was obviously some teams that you just beat up on, and those were the feel good days. But I would say there was two or three competitive teams in our district, and we play these non-district games. And you got a guy like Kane Eckert in Jasper. He's in Double A with the Cubs. John McMillan, he was in the big leagues with the Royals the year before, and now I believe he's with the Marlins or got claimed by the Phillies. I don't know. It's how baseball is. You bounce around, but there's a lot of talent in this small area in the Southeast Texas to where you're like, okay, like that's the best guy in this area. You want to go beat that best guy. So getting ready to go into college with like playing against that, it was like, okay, like I beat those guys. I can go here and I can compete here.
Yeah, and I never, speaking of college, I never asked you this question, and I'm not sure why actually, because I'm assuming, going to UT, you had a couple other offers for some schools down in Texas. Why did you choose Texas, I guess, over, teams like Texas A&M and M and Texas Tech and Baylor and all those schools? Like what was, I know you're shaking your head, but what was the deciding factor on Texas?
because nobody wants to be an Aggie is number one. Nobody wants to do that. I grew up a Texas fan. I will say I was a big fan of Johnny Manziel in college. Didn't root for A&M. I rooted for him,
That's
when I was
fair.
in high school, fan of Johnny. So I rooted for Johnny, not for A&M. But I don't know. I just when Augie Garrido sits you down in his office, like, and has an hour-long conversation with you about who he is, where he's from, what he expects, how we go about it. This is what I expect from you. This is what you give back to the university. We've been there. We've done that. We've won X amount of championships. We're leading the NCAA and World Series appearances. Like, you, he's like, you either want to come here or you don't. Like, we don't need, you know what I mean? Like, you want to go prove yourself. And at the end of that conversation, my grandpa looked at Augie and he was like, "Where do I sign up?" You know, and he goes, "Well, these guys are going to take you into another room and they're going to offer you a scholarship." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm coming here. Like, I'm sold." I needed 30 minutes with Augie before, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to Texas."
Do you feel like your time at Texas and obviously playing against the competition that you did at school prepped you for once you stepped on that mound in the major leagues?
Yes, because say I was a late round high school sign, you still got like a little bit, like a pretty good signing bonus. Like, I would tell those guys to go to college. Like, if you're committed to a big D1, like, go play at a big D1, play against the best of the best at your age, and go prove yourself. Get the feel for how a full base, because get the feel for how, like, a workout. You need to set a routine. You need to be the best version of yourself. You got to balance school while balancing this. Like, it's a lot of things to balance, and then I feel like that really prepped me because, like, in high school, I wasn't a guy that I didn't care about school. Like, I got by, but like I wanted to play baseball, and then going to college is like, hey, you better do your work or you're not, you know. So it was really it was growing pains for me in college my freshman year, and it was like, okay, well, I got to do this to do this. It is really setting that routine, and now being in pro ball, having that routine that I set my junior year. Like, I set a routine. I was a starter. I was a starter up until 22 with the Red Sox. So, like, having that routine I set in 2018 as a starter, like, carried on. There was obviously some different tweaks like throughout the years, but like, I felt I set a good foundation. I was who I was, and then I rolled into it in professional baseball.
This is going to be a very random question. What did you major in at Texas?
Baseball.
I don't need a Cardell Jones quote here on I go to school to play football, not school or
No, I,
something, but
I believe I believe it was youth and community studies.
okay.
I thought I was going to get into sports medicine, and then I looked at the classes I took. I believe I took a semester of classes for that. I said, I need to get out of here as soon as possible. If I'm not going to be eligible, I'm not that smart. I can't do it. Get me into something
Okay.
else.
All right, I had to ask. I've had a couple guys on this offseason where I've asked that question, and I had CJ Culpepper with the Twins saying he majored in kinesiology because he wanted to learn how his body
Yeah,
threw a
no,
baseball.
that's
And
basically what I wanted to do. And I was like, no, I changed my mind. I don't want to do
okay,
that.
okay, no, that's fair enough, man. It's it just dude, you are the Cardell Jones quote of I go to school for football, but
Yeah,
okay. I'm going to transition here into another segment here. It's like beyond the box score. I want to know about you just off the field.
okay.
So I know the answer to this question, but for the people at home, what do you do in your free time? Let's say you have your Monday off day when you were down in Worcester, or you're not training when you're back home. What are you doing on your during your free time?
I'm golfing.
I knew that
I,
was coming.
I go play golf. If I'm home in the off season and it's hunting season, I'm hunting. But during the season, I get that off day. I'm going to play golf.
Where would you rank yourself? Let's go like let's where would you rank yourself in the Red Sox org on in terms of golf game? Would you be top 10% or what?
No, mm. I feel like these younger kids are better than me. Not good. I wouldn't. I play. I have fun out there. I'm not
Okay.
there to take it serious. Actually, this offseason I started tracking my handicap, so like I'm taking it more serious than I have in prior years. But I don't think I'm top 10, top 20. I'm just
Okay.
I bring good vibes to the golf course.
Love that. That's all we're asking for. One of us. But if you don't mind me asking, you don't need to give me this specific handicap number. Is it below or under 10?
Under.
Okay. All right.
It's,
All
it's
right.
just
Yeah.
7. I'll put I'm a 7 handicap.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Obviously, I heard some rumors that one of our good pals, Hunter Dobbins, is a scratch golfer.
I don't believe that for a second. I've never played with him, but I don't believe it.
All right. Well,
I,
I didn't either, but
I will gladly go out there one day and lose money to him just to find out to see if he's a real deal. But I'm not letting Dobbins take that.
okay.
Can't do it. There's another
I've heard
Texas guy.
it.
I got to keep him in check. I'm not believing it.
I've heard it from numerous sources inside the organization that he is a scratch golfer. So I'm going to need you to do.
He very well could be, but I'm not giving him the satisfaction of saying that he's a scratch golfer.
That's fair, man. I agree. This might be a fun question for you, but if you were not a professional baseball player right now, what would you be doing?
I'd be working in a chemical plant back home as a process operator, probably.
It's so specific.
Well, that's like what all my friends do. It's good money. It's blue collar work. I'm sure it sucks. They make it sound like it's miserable, which it probably is, but I just can't see myself doing anything. I mean, I would want to work with my friends. I wouldn't want to work by myself and be, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
that's
but
impressive how specific you just got.
well, because bad year in 2023. I'm like, man, I might need to start looking for a job. I'm like, what do you do? He's like, I'm a process operator. I'm like, all right, well, what about you? I'm a process operator. I'm like, all right, let me look into this stuff, and then it's a 2 year schooling gig, and then you make pretty good money off of it. So I was like, I can see myself doing this. It's gonna be miserable, but I could do it. If not, I'd probably try to. If that fell through and I hated it, I would try to go coach a high school or something, just to stay
Okay.
around baseball.
This next question here, not, I don't think I've ever asked you any of this, but who were a couple? Maybe just give me like a one or two guys that. Who are some of your favorite athletes growing up? And it doesn't have to be baseball; it can be any other sport too.
Oh, I was a big fan of Michael Vick before that whole thing.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
I had a Michael Vick jersey. I think I was in like third grade. My grandma said, "No, you can't wear that anymore." So, all right. I remember that one. I mean, Vince Young, Rose Bowl, Reggie Bush, big Reggie Bush guy. Loved him. He's the reason I'm a Saints fan to this day. We won't talk about prior, like how it is now, but Reggie Bush. Uh, and along with Reggie Bush, it was Drew Brees. I don't know, I've never really been into basketball. I'm an MJ guy though. MJ over LeBron. I can't really think of like one guy. Obviously, Roger Clemens, Roy Oswalt, Brad Lidge, the Killer Bees, Biggio, Berkman, Bagwell. Growing up close to Houston, those were the guys.
I will take it to the grave that the 2005 Astros team was the most stacked team to never win a World Series.
Yeah, Albert Pujols, man.
Over the train tracks, it's like I could almost like think of it like it was yesterday.
I was watching it at church. I was supposed to be in a Wednesday class, and they had this is when you rolled the big box TV out and set it up, have it playing or whatever. But I was supposed to be in. I'm not. It's not Sunday school, but one of those classes today. And I said, I'm sitting out here. I'm watching this baseball game.
Yeah, it's I'll say it, dude. That Killer Bees, man, it's so fun to watch. And we were around that age too, where we were, around 9, 10. I think you're around my age. Maybe you were like 7, 8, whatever. But we were just at that time where it's like baseball was just like the best thing ever, and it's like that was incredible to watch. I got a couple Mount Rushmores for you before I move on to something else here to kind of wrap us up. But first one here, I like talking about food. I'm not going to ask you about Zaxby's. I already know your thoughts, but I need your Mount Rushmore. So I need your top four, and it's going to be restaurant chains. They can be fast food or sit down. I just need your top four.
Whataburger, Jersey Mike's.
Oh, good man.
I'm a Raising Cane's over Chick-fil-A guy.
Okay.
One more. Let me see. I got chicken. I got sandwiches. I got burgers. What can I go with? Hmm. I've recently gotten into ramen because of my fiance, and I think Jinya. I'm pretty sure that's a chain. Jinya is a pretty good ramen.
I'm a big fan of the ramen game. It's very slept
I
on.
butchered how that's pronounced, but it's like Jinya. So and it's pretty good stuff.
Okay. Well, ramen slept on, man. Being in the Northeast, you gotta have it because it's cold probably 6 to 7 months of the year, and it's so good on a cold day.
Yeah.
I don't know about in the summer in Texas, but
No.
um, so follow up question on this. I've gotten this answer almost every time I've asked this question. Is Texas Roadhouse is Texas Roadhouse frowned upon by people that live in Texas?
No. We love it just as much
Okay.
as the
Okay. All right. I got one more Mount Rushmore before I head to the last thing here. Like I said, big Longhorns guy over here. Can you give me your top four Texas Longhorns of all time or in your lifetime, let's say? And it can be any sport.
Oh, Houston Street for baseball. He's everything that you want to be as a Longhorn. Vince Young, Colt McCoy, Kevin Durant.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Follow up question before I move on here. Do you think there is any chance that Arch Manning gets into that after his career is over at Texas?
What do you mean?
Like, do you think he can get himself to the level of on a Mount Rushmore by his time that he's done at Texas? Like after he's done
Yeah.
playing at Texas?
Yep.
I think
Depends
so
on
too.
if he leaves early for the draft, but he could very well be. He could win two national championships back to back, I believe, if we bring in the right guys and do NIL the right way. But I don't think anybody's spending more than Texas does, so I think it could
Yeah,
be good.
that guy's incredible. Can't wait to watch him next year.
Fired
I
up.
do. I'm a Quinn Ewers guy too, so
Oh,
no,
I'm
no.
a big Quinn guy. It's
Okay,
his, let him do his thing, you know. But Arch stepped in when he needed to, and he did his thing. So it's just like, hey, we got a glimpse of what's to come. So it's exciting.
yeah, man. I tell people this. It's like having some AAA starting pitching depth that's ready for the majors. It's like you never can have enough. You can never have too many good quarterbacks on the roster because you never know when an injury is going to happen. So,
Right.
all right, into the last segment before I let you go here. It's just like it's very quick, easy answers. I'm going to ask you for possibly an explanation on something that I think you might be in the minority in. I just call it this or that. I'm going to give you two options and you got to pick between the two. And I'm going to start you off with the easiest one, probably of the entire cycle here. We're starting off with In-N-Out or Whataburger.
Whataburger. In and out's trash.
Okay. I think the In-N-Out burger is better than Whataburger, but I think the fries at Whataburger are better than In-N-Out. So if they could just
I
combine
would
restaurants.
I would say the In and Out fries are better than Whataburger fries.
No,
Animal fries are good. Animal fries are the best part
no,
about it.
no
And,
chance. The burger's the
and
best part.
no, they don't even melt the
Okay.
cheese on it.
I just think it's crazy, man. They need to combine restaurants, but all right. I knew that's what you were going to say. How about this? Going on a tropical vacation, which you just did,
Yep.
or going on a European vacation.
Oh, I want to go to Italy.
I do too.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with because I already did the tropical thing. I'm gonna go with it.
That's fair.
If it's European, I'm going to Italy.
Okay. Would you prefer summertime or fall time better?
Summertime's baseball season.
it's fall classic, man. Come
Yeah, but
on.
fall's hunting season.
Okay. You got another job to do. Sunflower seeds or bubble gum?
Sunflower seeds. I
Do you
chew on a piece
prefer?
a minute, then I spit it out or swallow it.
Yeah, it's dangerous, man. I swallowed gum too way too much, and I always think of those videos that it sits in your stomach for like 7 years, and I get freaked out. So I try to stay away from it.
It's a myth.
It's a myth.
Yeah, they just tell it to kids so they don't choke on it when they swallow it.
Okay. All right. Next one. Would you, if you had to pitch in the game, would you prefer a day game or a night game?
Night game.
You'd be surprised how many day games I got.
I mean, it's
Um,
nice to have the afternoon after you pitch, but if I'm gonna pitch in the game, I'd much rather pitch in the nighttime so I can be well rested. I'm a late sleeper.
okay. Yeah, you did both in your career. You've started and you've come out of the bullpen quite a bit. Obviously, bullpen more recently, but uh, which one did you like better, starting or relieving?
I like relieving because you get more opportunities to pitch versus having to wait like once a week. I like the routine of a starter because I know when I'm pitching, but I like pitching more frequently. So I mean, it could go either way. It doesn't matter to me, to be honest.
Okay. Would you rather have a cheeseburger or a chicken sandwich?
Ooh, chicken sandwich.
Okay.
Fried chicken sandwich or a grilled chicken sandwich?
You can be either.
Fried chicken sandwich.
I'm with you. Um, Florida or Texas heat?
Florida's brutal.
They're both
I also,
brutal.
I'm never really in the heat though, so I don't know. I'm always northeast.
That's a good point.
I would say Texas heat's pretty bad. I would go with Texas heat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one here. It's actually I'm gonna skip that one for right now, but actually, yeah, let's do it because I'm gonna modify it from what I used to have it. But let's do Vince Young or Colt McCoy. Have to pick one.
Vince Young.
That was easy for you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I have the last one here in this, and then we'll let you slide. Would you rather have an inning-ending strikeout or an inning-ending double play?
Strikeout. Way cooler. Way sexier.
You think so?
Yeah.
Even after being, a double play means you got in trouble, you got a guy on base or whatever it is, or maybe you inherited the runner and you still think the strikeout.
I mean, it's cool to like have the bases loaded, 2 outs, not being your runs on the bases, but coming in and striking that guy out. Like that's a pretty good, you know, that gets the adrenaline going. If I
Okay.
go in there, throw a pitch and get a double play, I'm like all that for that. Like, no, I want to punch somebody out.
Okay. Last question for you here. It's not a this or that or anything, but I need your predictions on the college football playoff. Who do you think has it?
Texas. Horns up.
All right, Shug. I don't know. I just did that.
I didn't do that, but I'm a fan.
All right, Shug. I appreciate all the time.
Yeah, no problem.
Definitely appreciate you hopping on and having the conversation and everything. Obviously, it was super cool seeing you make your debut this year. And obviously, we're looking out for you in spring training when that rolls around in year 2025. Obviously, getting back up in Boston and everything. But Shug, appreciate all the time you gave us, and thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.